Welcome to another episode, everyone. A 15-year-old killed for crossing out gang graffiti. This happens all of the time. You go into a certain neighborhood, any neighborhood, and oftentimes you will see individuals hit up their neighborhood, their gang, Crip, Blood, South Side, West Side, West, whatever, and you see it crossed out because an enemy, if you will, an opposition has came through the dark of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning and crossed out their neighborhood. He crept in, looked around, the coast was clear, and crossed it out. But many individuals have been caught red-handed, coming into a neighborhood, crossing out that hood's turf right there in their hood, and they never made it out. They were left dead in the street right there for crossing out the territory. This happened here to this 15-year-old. Man, check this out. This is Hood Politics. Shout out to them.
Welcome to Hood Politics. In this episode, I will be discussing Esteban Ceja, also known as Clown, from DNA. The facts of the case are as follows. When it comes to Los Angeles gangs, territory is one of the most important things, and if someone isn't familiar with the area, they may not know where one hood ends and another one begins. One way of knowing where you're at is to read the walls. Gang graffiti, often referred to as strikes or hit-ups, can let you know what hood you're in, who's beefing, and who has died. Although some may just see it as tagging, it's taken very seriously.
Hey, you tell these motherfuckers, man, the type of shit that'll happen if you catch, you know what I'm saying, somebody coming here trying to write that shit, man.
Yeah, you talking about the little fake if he trying to come and sneak in the hood and write on the wall. Yeah, the get caught, it's guaranteed it's a rap. Dead, flatline.
Stop painting over the hood. Stop painting over the hood. I gotta get off on you right now. Stop painting over the hood. I don't give a fuck about your job, nigga. Colonia Flores, Bellflower, Colonia Flores. Paint over, I'ma get off on you. Paint over it, I'ma get off on you. Paint over it.
In the 1990s and early 2000s, there was a surge in tagging crews. Unlike gangs, tagging crews' main objective was hitting up as many places as possible, and inevitably, they found themselves tagging within gang territories. This caused animosity between taggers and gang members, and often led to fights and shootings whenever they crossed paths. Some tagging crews even became what were known as tag bangers. Tag bangers carried themselves exactly like gang members, from their style of dress to carrying guns. Some tagging crews were absorbed into gangs, and some became gangs themselves, like Cam, K-Dub-S, and numerous others. But one of the most notorious crews turned gang is DNA. DNA originally stood for drugs and alcohol, but in more recent years they've gone by Devil's Nation and Devil's New Army, amongst other names. DNA claims 73rd Street and the surrounding area, and they make it known by covering the walls in graffiti. On September 23, 2015, shortly after 4:30 p.m., a 19-year-old man named Christian Zuniga and a 15-year-old young man named Francisco Batista ventured into DNA territory. Christian and Francisco were members of a nearby rival gang called Indo. The pair began walking into an alley when Christian noticed a man standing nearby. Christian kept watch while Francisco began tagging the wall. Francisco used green paint to cross out DNA graffiti and sprayed Indo graffiti. This act is referred to as slashing or whacking out. A few moments later, Christian saw a man enter the alley, run towards them, and pull something from his right hip. Christian told Francisco to run. Christian heard gunfire as he ran away, but he was able to make it to safety. Unfortunately, Francisco wasn't so lucky. He was shot twice and died from his wounds. Detectives arrived at the scene and began their investigation. Two witnesses said they saw a man named Esteban Ceja near the alley just after the shooting. Esteban was a member of DNA and went by the nicknames Clown and Payaso. One witness saw Esteban in her mother's apartment, which is near the alley. She said he looked pale and scared. The witness told him to leave, and he responded, "Shh." Another witness heard someone running and then saw Esteban in the same apartment. He looked pale and surprised. From that same apartment, Esteban called his sister and asked for a ride to a dispensary. When she arrived, Esteban got into her back seat instead of the open front passenger seat, which she found weird. After dropping him off, Esteban's sister called him and told him that the police were investigating the shooting. He told her to tell the police that she didn't know anything. Later that day, a witness called 911 and told the operator what she saw and said that she believed Esteban was the shooter. Just after midnight, police showed Christian a photographic lineup. Christian picked out Esteban's picture and told the officers that he looked something like the shooter. Investigators were able to pull video footage from a camera near the alley. The man in the video
And, you know, this individual, rest in peace to him, was a young individual, obviously, a child, 15 years old. So perhaps did not know a lot better, misguided in the streets as a lot of our youth are. He was just a tagger or what have you, apparently, or perhaps one of the tagging gangs that had morphed into a gang, and many have. Sitting there in the alley in enemy territory, crossing out their hood while someone keeps watch. And apparently, you're not ready for a fight. You don't have a weapon. Because as soon as he pulled his weapon, you begin to run. Understandably, you're 15 years old. You're not walking around with a pistol like that or whatever. You don't know what you're doing. You're a child. You think it's all fun and games, but these individuals in these gangs take their gangs very serious. Many individuals have given their life for their gang. It's right or wrong. You can argue with it all that you want, but it remains a fact that these individuals will give their life for their gang and take a life. You enter into hostile territory. This is what this was when you say this is an opposition of theirs, and you go over there and cross out their hood in their hood, and you don't even have a weapon. You're not prepared for a fight whatsoever. You're going in hostile territory to disrespect them in their own hood, to disrespect their hood in their hood. No, good luck with that. Good luck with any hood. Walking out of there. You have to be careful. If you're going to make a move like that, be so audacious as to go into hostile territory and cross out their hood in their hood. You better be prepared for what's to come if you get caught. Many individuals do not get caught, and this is why you go by and you see hoods crossed out. But some individuals do get caught. Many have. And many of them have paid the ultimate price for this. For something as simple as you may think and say, as crossing out some words, some spray paint on the wall. He lost his life for crossing out some spray paint on the wall. For art, makes no sense. Well, these individuals have no respect for life, these gang members. So yeah, your life is not worth much. Most of their lives are not worth much to them. So they don't respect anyone else's life. They don't respect their own life. And again, it's not just that, it's also the fact that they take their hoods and their territories very serious. Whether you believe in it or not, that's a different argument. The fact is, they take it very serious and they're willing to give their life or take a life for it, as we see here. That's what happened. He's there crossing out the hood, and he's a young 15-year-old, and he should not have lost his life for that. Should not have been over there doing that either, because these individuals take this stuff serious. Certainly should not have lost his life for it, though. It's sad. We have to be careful dealing with gangs and gang territory. It is very serious.
Leo had tattoos on his hands, just like Esteban. Esteban Ceja was charged with murder for the death of Francisco Batista and the attempted murder of Christian Zuniga, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Investigators searched multiple homes looking for Esteban, but weren't able to locate him. Prosecutors then asked for the FBI to help track him down. Investigators conducted electronic surveillance of Esteban's family and friends. They eventually found a phone with an Arizona area code that was being used in El Paso, Texas. They compared the calling patterns from that phone to the phone that Esteban previously used and found that the patterns were nearly identical. Esteban was arrested in El Paso and extradited back to Los Angeles. His bail was set at just over $3 million. Ultimately, Esteban Ceja was found guilty with the murder of Francisco Batista and the attempted murder of Christian Zuniga, as well as gun and gang enhancement charges. Esteban Ceja was sentenced to life in prison. This incident was just one situation in a city that has a long history of people being killed over graffiti. On Sunday, Friday, February 7th, 2010, at around 9 p.m., a 40-year-old man named Ronald Barron was watching the Super Bowl with his girlfriend at the Cottage Bar located on Pico Boulevard. As Ronald left the bar, he noticed someone spraying graffiti on a nearby wall. Ronald confronted the tagger, and the tagger pulled out a gun and opened fire, striking Ronald in the chest. Ronald was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Ronald was a former member of the Mansfield Gangster Crips and went by the nickname Looney. He was active during his younger years and sent to prison for attempted murder, but he grew tired of the gang life and decided to make a change. He began working with an organization called American, which was founded by the late Jim Brown. He could be found in schools and in jails, helping others turn their lives around and providing them with the tools and the support to do so. A 16-year-old young man named Mark Villasenor was arrested and charged with Ronald's murder. He was from CAE, which stands for Catching All Enemies, or Crazy and Evil. Mark told investigators that he believed Ronald was armed and reaching for his waistband, and he shot him because he was scared. Mark pled no contest to voluntary manslaughter, firearm possession, felony vandalism, and gang enhancement charges. Mark Villasenor was sentenced to 29 years in prison. On Saturday, April 15th, 2023, a group of men were painting over graffiti that had been tagged on the wall of Northridge Ice Cream. Shortly afterwards, the group was spotted by a 24-year-old man named Jamal Jackson. Jamal was the person who tagged the wall, and he was angry that the men were painting over it. Jamal approached the men, pulled out a gun, and opened fire on the group. A 39-year-old man named Juan Lopez Suarez was killed. 3 other men were wounded and transported to a hospital. Jamal was later arrested in the nearby city of Ontario and was charged with the murder of Juan Lopez Suarez and 4 counts of attempted murder, as well as gun charges. On June 7th, 2023, nearly 2 months after the shooting, a 69-year-old man named Benjamin Marin passed away due to complications from his wounds. Jamal's charges were later upgraded. On Friday, June 24th, 2022, at around 7:20 p.m., Esteban Ceja and another man named Adrian Garullo attacked another inmate named Hector Jimenez in the day room with an inmate-manufactured weapon. Hector was taken to the prison's triage center, and an ambulance was called to take him to the hospital, but he died before he could be transported. Adrian was serving a life sentence for murder and 2 attempted murders at the time of the attack. Hector was serving a 26-year sentence for voluntary manslaughter when he was killed. I want to thank you guys for tuning in.
Wow. Got to prison and then killed someone. Whew. Man. A lot of lives lost. Something very minute and something that we would all deem trivial, if you will. Certainly as it relates to taking a life. Let me know what you think in the comments. Rest in peace to that young man who lost his life over the graffiti. Just be careful of what you do when you walk on the streets of gang-infested territories, particularly in Los Angeles, California. It is not what you think. It is not what you hear on the internet. It is not as soft as you may think. It is indeed watered down. The structure is not the same, but it is still very volatile and dangerous. And you must be extremely careful if you're going to frequent the area and know where you're going and what you're doing and who and what you're dealing with. If you do not, and if you take it as some sort of joke and game, you can and more than likely will lose your life. It is that serious. So take heed to that. And, don't disrespect these individuals and disrespect these gangs because you look down upon them if you're not a part of that culture. I understand it. I frown upon it myself these days, not that I know better, but I don't frown upon the individuals who are gang members. They just don't know any better for the most part, most of these individuals. And we just have to teach them better, but confronting them in a certain way can end you because they are aggressive, violent, and they believe in upholding the tenets of the game, whatever that may be. And your life is expendable. It's unfortunate, but it's true. So be careful. Again, rest in peace to that young man. That bothers me. 15-year-old that lost his life for tagging a wall or whatever, crossing out a hood, which is a very serious offense, as we can see many other individuals. And not just that, the taggers will open fire on you. It works both ways. It's a very serious thing because words have power. It's a very serious thing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free, people.